Thank you so much for joining us. Define disruption. What does it mean to you?
I think disruption is about how do you do things differently, right? I mean, there's a way of doing things in the past, and how do you do different things differently, and how that what you do will change tomorrow. So I think from our standpoint, disruption is about how do we look at skilling and training people differently, right? So you're driving disruption in the people agenda. It's about how you disrupt what you do today for your customers, or what you could do today, tomorrow for your customers. I think, and bringing some of that design thinking, bringing thinking around design thinking is so critical. So how do we think about our people? How do we think about our customers? How do we think about what we do today? Because we do certain processes inside our own organization in a certain manner. How do we disrupt them and change them, right? How do we change things for our customers? How do we change things for our people? I think so the definition of disruption or change is across the board. It's internal to you, it's to your people, because this is a business all about people, and it's a little bit, it's about all your customers.
At a softer level, what are the challenges that bringing in this design mindset actually throws up?
I think it's about mindset shift, right? We at GenPact are spending an huge amount of energy to change the thinking, change the thinking and the culture, keeping the core culture ethos the same, who we are, but bringing in the thinking around our whole campaign and our whole focus around lean digital, the whole focus around design thinking. How do you think about a problem very differently than what you had thought about that problem in the past? So it's about, saying, how do I start afresh on a clean sheet of paper, design something completely different, and look at it, what will it look like in the future? So I think that's the way we're looking at it. And if you look at our whole focus, and if you see our website and you see what we are communicating to the market, is this thinking on lean digital. And lean digital is all about how do you lean what you do today, what do you lean for your customers, what do you do for yourself, and embed inside it digital technologies, right? And it could be robotics, it could be NLG, it could be AI, it could be any capability, right? How do you embed that in? And then you wrap that and plug inside it analytics, right? Because the whole focus and whole change will be, because we're seeing all this data coming through. How do you analyze that data? How do you look at information that you can intelligently use for your operations, for your business? So I think bringing and getting people to think differently is going to be very critical. And then people adapting it and then implementing it is going to be.
So give us an example of this whole process that you've been talking about.
Look, example is very simple. Like if you look at, I'll give you two examples, right? One people and one what you can do for your partners and your companies you do business with, right? From a people standpoint, I think people we have to train people for a different skill set, which is very different from the skill set what is today. It will be a very different skill set what you need to train them for tomorrow. So there's a huge amount of investment and effort we will make and are making in how do you upskill and train our people, right? And that's very critical. So that's one example specific to people. You train them on thinking differently. You can't train the whole organization. So you start with 200-300 people who become evangelists, and then they bring it across a larger group of people. Then you take an example where you work with customers. I'll give you two examples, right? So you work with customers where you do things like small things like accounts payables, right? How do you become touchless accounts payable, where you don't touch the transaction? So you implement various technologies, you don't touch it, and how do you, today 40 people might doing it, tomorrow only you do it by exception, right? Logically, you should be doing everything by exception. So how do you do those things? So bringing in some of the design thinking, lean digital thinking, doing things like that. Banking. Banking has large transactions. Fintech companies are getting extensively out there. I think if you take an example in banking, how do you do what you do today and take away and do it better, faster, smarter? So embedding some of the whole lean digital thinking inside it, bringing in analytics, and how can you do it much smarter with with all that, and then taking away just not having people do it, but also helping driving machines to do what you do. So driving that disruption is
So
going to be
in that context, would you say that technology is driving digital, or is digital driving technology?
So I think, look, technology is just a technology. Our belief is that any technology, whichever technology you have, whether it's robotics or NLP, or it's just a technology, right? If you don't integrate that with domain expertise, with business knowledge and business expertise and process expertise, it has no relevance, right? So you have to blend the all these new tech which is out there with domain and business process knowledge to drive the big impact for the customer. If you look at even the conference here, a lot of people have talked about how do you integrate all these new technologies which are out there, but the key is going to be your understanding of the domain, your understanding of the process layer. Even, the CEO of Oracle, she mentioned something like that. So I think we believe that it's very, very critical that how do you integrate technology into the process with huge amount of domain knowledge.
So what do you think will be the big disruption of 2016?
I think, look, I can't predict it, right? And when I talk to some of the analysts and some of the advisors who track this industry, they believe that they don't know what it's going to be like, right? So I can't say this. But I think I can give you my personal view. I think the big thing of 2016 is going to be the adoption of different automation capability, adoption of change, so that you can really create some very big and strong proof points for your customers and for yourself as you get into 2017. And I think this year is going to be a year where there'll be a lot of activity around how can you change what you do for your customers, how can you bring them, make them better, smarter, by doing what I said around using lean digital and using the whole focus on automation and the whole focus on domain expertise. And if you can create a bunch of such proof points, and I'm not saying proof points, implementations, not POCs. If you can implement some of these, you can start thinking about how you're going to skill our people. I think those are the two big things which will happen, and a lot of people are talking about it.
And which are the sectors where you see this happening the most?
I think if you look at across different industries, it will happen. It will happen across, definitely across financial services. You've heard this in the whole conference where people have said financial services will be seeing a lot of disruption. I think definitely, and you will see that. I think you will also see that happening in other industries, I would say in high tech and those kind of industries, retail, consumer retail companies. So you'll see some of that disruption happening. And if you talk to some of these companies, and forget us as service providers, they are driving that disruption. And I think we are part of that change as they drive it. And if we drive it together with them, I think it's a win-win.
So the challenge for a company like yours then is to stay ahead of your customers?
Absolutely. And it's about staying with our customers, learning what they're trying to do, taking ideas to them in terms of how you can help them, because it's very important, because with our customers, we know what they do. We know them for years. We know the processes. We know the domain expertise. We understand them as a customer. I think it's going to be imperative for us to take certain ideas to our customers and bring it to them first before anybody else brings them. So I think our other big goal is going to be how we take more and more ideas to our customers and drive execution of those ideas.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
My pleasure.